Hey, Spo, I had a few questions for you. With Africa Day coming up on May 25th, I wanted to ask, how cool is it to have six guys on the roster with direct roots to Nigeria, guys like, Precious, Gabe, Bam, and have you had a chance to maybe talk with any of those guys about their
That's something that they've talked about, having a team Nigeria, here in Miami. Um, and I think it's cool. It's just one of those random occurrences, but it shows you how much basketball has grown. The next Basketball Without Borders trip that is in Nigeria, I want to be a part of that one.
All right, next we'll go to Tim Reynolds.
Erik, I understand you guys had something called practice today. What is that like?
I didn't hear you, Tim.
Erik, I said there's a rumor that you guys had something called practice.
Yeah, right.
The first one, I believe, since December. I know you're not training camp mode right now,
Yeah.
but you have 3 days to work. Like the advantages of that, and what sort of did you do today? Were you working on you today, or are you already in working on the Bucks mode?
Yeah, a little bit of both. You have to try to take advantage of these practice days. I think the days off were also equally as important. Guys were able to get some treatment, get some rest, and gear up, for this series. But we were able to get some work done. Also, we haven't really had a practice. Now we did have a practice when we landed in Portland. So it's good, to have, these days in between. I think it's good for the league. I think it gives everybody the best chance of putting forward the best product.
I guess it'll build as you get closer to Saturday. Do you feel like this team has flipped that proverbial switch into playoff mode? Do you guys feel like you've been in it for a while just because of, the stakes you were playing for down the stretch? Like, where are you?
Well, we feel that we've been playing at a high level of intensity and emotion, the last several weeks. But that still isn't the level of what you can expect for the playoffs. And I think we have enough veteran guys, that understand that. And our locker room has a lot of respect for our opponent.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Barry Jackson.
Hi, Erik. From a health standpoint, could everybody, including Jimmy, go full at everything you did do today on court?
Yeah, everybody was able to work, today. I want to, like I just said, we haven't had a day like that in a while.
Good. And with Trevor, has having him gone about as well as you could have possibly expected, and just the value of having a player like that in this series?
Having a guy with Trevor's experience and his versatility is important against any opponent. And he shows that versatility on both sides of the floor. Really helps us defensively, with matchups and being able to guard, multiple guys, but also be able to defend in multiple schemes. And offensively, he's fit in as if he had been here for a long period of time.
Thanks.
Next we go to Ira Winterman.
Erik, it was just about a month ago now when Jimmy Butler said after the win in San Antonio, all we got to do is get there. We get there, us as a team, I'll handle the rest. We know about Jimmy's bravado, but how much of that do you think sort of is the case, that we're going to see sort of a different level of Jimmy? And is it too much to expect every last breath Jimmy like we saw in the bubble, or is that just who he is?
You're pulling up like quotes from 5 weeks ago. Yeah, Jimmy's played at an incredibly high level all season long. And he's done it on both ends of the court. You need your best players, to play well and to lead and to give your team confidence. And that's what Jimmy has proven, that he has an ability to do that. Bam as well. This will be a new challenge, and we're all looking forward to it.
And then speaking of new challenges, while there's obviously been a bunch of roster redo on both sides, the major component that changes from last year is Drew Holiday with the Bucks. How much does that, when you did your game planning, change the equation? Honestly, as him as a two-way player, change the equation?
Yeah, I mean, he's a legit all-star. You can't expect, series, to be easy. Um, they've had, they were competing for the best record in the East for a lot, most of the season. Um, and that's for a reason. They've done it on both ends of the court. They can really defend. They've got guys that really play well off of Giannis. But Holiday has been a leading man, before on other teams, and an all-star again for a reason. He's a very good two-way basketball player.
Thank you.
Next, we go to Malika Andrews.
Hey, Spo. It's good to see you, although I'm not sure you can see me. I was curious, what you've been through early on in this season. We talk so much, especially folks like me who come in for the one practice you guys apparently have a year and then leave, about heat culture. I'm wondering what happened early on. While no one wants to have to go through those health issues, those battles with sickness, what that did to test and then potentially build what you all needed to do down the stretch as a group.
Yeah, I don't think that it was necessarily exclusive to us. You look at it league-wide, everybody was dealing with a lot. And we mentioned, several weeks into the season that we were going to grind, not make any excuses, continue to try to get better from these shared experiences of adversity. And I think, we also wanted to have a little bit of grace, with each other. That these were extraordinary circumstances, hopefully circumstances that we won't experience ever again, but definitely experiences that were different than any other NBA experience that we've all had, before. So we wanted to have that balance of having grace, for each other, going through a lot of unpredictable adversities, and then, hopefully get better from that and bring a locker room closer. I think that's what you saw. It was a locker room that was, banding around each other to try to get better from all of these collective experiences.
Does that make it any sweeter now to be at not the finish line, but the beginning of a new start line?
This has been a really enjoyable season. And that includes all of the adversities and incredible challenges. I just found it fascinating because it was so much different than any other season, including even last year. So it just gives you an opportunity to grow, to get stretched, to get pushed in different ways than you typically are in a normal NBA season.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Mike DePasquale.
Hey, Erik, good to see you. If I could follow up on you saying it's an enjoyable season, do you enjoy now that you get to go into the playoffs in a sense of normalcy where you can get some practices in, there's no bubble, and you can prepare this team? I know they're different than other teams, but this team, the way you used to prepare your teams to go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think you also have a great deal of gratitude to be able to be in a position to compete in the playoffs. This is the best time of year for competitors. You want to be challenged, by the best teams and see where you can, come out on the other side of it. And you don't want to ever take it for granted, even. We know inside these buildings, we try to put together teams that contend for a title every single year, and yet some of the years we don't even make the playoffs. So you just want to, embrace it, be grateful, for this opportunity to be able to do this together. This locker room, I think the locker room really enjoys, each other. And then to get after it, we have, a big goal and we have a really tough opponent that we respect.
Thank you, Erik.
Next, we'll go to Will Manso.
Hey, Spo, you talked earlier and then you were asked about playoff Jimmy and obviously Bam's evolution, but playoff Gorn was something we saw last year, obviously during that run. And this year he had his ups and downs, obviously trying to stay healthy. How close do you think Gorn is to being that guy that can be that in a big game, step up and have these huge performances we've seen him have in the past?
Well, that's who he's been, over the course of his career in the biggest moments. That's when the competition tends to bring out the best in him and a different level. This year for him was just about managing the schedule, managing his body, and just getting physically right and in rhythm, by the end. And that's when he was playing his best basketball, I think, the last handful of weeks.
Next, we'll go to David Lang.
Hey, Spo. Yesterday, Drew Holiday said, quote, "I feel like talent-wise, we have a bit more of that." Is that a quote you heard? Is that something you'd share with your team? How would you evaluate his assessment of the talent between the two teams?
That has nothing to do with how the series is going to play out.
Next, we'll go to Cooper Moorhead.
So I got two for you. One is, they've made some subtle changes to their offensive spacing. They've got guys kind of roaming the dunker spot a lot more. How does that change the geography of the floor as far as still building that wall for Giannis?
Yeah, it's not like they have less 3-point shooters either, right? So they've surrounded Giannis with really good shooters and playmakers in Holiday and Middleton. But they also get some extra opportunities, at the basket with their spacing, whether that's on cuts or spacing on drives or offensive rebounds. So you have to, account for them on the baseline where you tend to lose sight of them. And, you're going to have to be good, in this series. You're going to have to do it on both ends, and that's part of it.